Hello guys, imagine that in February 2022, just at the start of the Russian invasion, you knew that 1 million Russian soldiers would enter Ukraine. What would be your prognosis? Perhaps something very dark, very negative for Ukraine. But here we are, 3.5 years after the start of Russian war. On the day of Russia's National Day, mark 1 million neutralized Russian soldiers. 1 million lost souls. But they've actually lost that souls the moment they decided to join the Russian army. This size of losses is uncomparable to any other war after the Second World War. That is the size of Russian madness, Russian irrationality, and the proof they don't care about the human life of their own people. So how can you expect that some arguments can influence their decisions? The only way to end this madness, as Donald Trump says, is to defeat and demilitarize Russia. And I think it's quite symbolic that on the day when Russia celebrates its National Day, on the day when Secretary Rubio congratulates the Russian people on behalf of the American people, and let me know what you think about that in the comments below. But on such a day, we Ukrainians also congratulate Russia with 1 million dead invaders. And actually, I'm wearing a festive t-shirt. I hope you like it. So let's talk more about this unbelievable losses of Russia, and not just about people, but about tanks and armored vehicles and artillery systems that they've lost, because that's the only working peace plan, and that is the Russian mathematics lesson. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the collapse of the Kremlin, subscribe, we will talk about that on the channel sometime soon. And let's start with these official statistics confirmed by the British intelligence, by many other services, and even by very emotional speeches of the American president, who keeps speaking about the lost lives, forgetting that that is a typical Russian strategy. All of the Russian wars were won or lost with this attitude, scorched earth policy. That is the only creativity they can apply. Russia very irrationally uses its human resources. It was seen in times of the Second World War too. For example, if they wanted to take a specific city back for a specific communist holiday, they did not care about the numbers of people they will lose doing that. And there are a lot of hundreds and thousands of people who died just because Stalin wanted that faster. So Russians do not care about human life. They actually have this Chechen police who controls Russian soldiers who want to escape. And there are a lot of reports of people who want to run away. Actually, a good solution, but a way better solution is not to join the Russian army. Another very important thing that many forget, Ukrainian soldiers are defenders who don't have a choice. If we want to survive, if we want to protect our homes, if we want to continue living in our cities, we need to stand against this invasive evil. And Russian soldiers make this choice. That's why I don't feel sorry for them at all. They sign a contract, they want to earn this bloody money, they break the international law, they invade the independent country, knowing well that we don't want them here, that it's against the law, that it's against the morale, that it's against their faith if they talk about the traditional values, but of course they don't have any. So the best way to support the demilitarization of Russia is to support our NEFO campaign. Less than 2% left, and you are amazing people for making our armed forces stronger, and I'm very grateful for every donation. And you still have this way to congratulate Russia with the Russian Day. That's the only way we can do it. And please subscribe to demonstrate your solidarity with Ukraine. So I have decided to collect another numbers, as that's the Russian mathematics lesson, not just 1 million lost people, but also the weapons and vehicles that they lost, and there are a lot. For example, 10,933 tanks, 22,786 armored fighting vehicles. I will never be tired pronouncing that. 51,579 vehicles and fuel tanks. 29,063 artillery systems, and that's evil that constantly wants to destroy frontline cities. Then 1,184 air defense systems, and we clearly see that Russian air defense systems are not working. That's the reason why Moscow, St. Petersburg, and a great part of the Russian Federation, once seemingly invincible, is a no-fly zone. Every other day they need to stop the work of their airports, their airlines are collapsing, and all because Russia wanted war and Russia got war back home to dozens and dozens of the Russian regions. Once again, something that seemed totally impossible in February 2022. So don't let these myths of the Soviet Union, of the Cold War, manipulate your decisions, especially when they are transmitted from the White House, which is disgusting. I will not forgive Marco Rubio for congratulating the Russian people on the behalf of the American people in their pursuit of the bright future. Does he understand what the bright future means in the Russian worldview? I'm not sure he wants one, not just about Ukraine, but about the US too. Let's continue with these beautiful numbers. We have also destroyed 416 airplanes. Just imagine, and I kind of like it that 1/10 of them perhaps were destroyed with the magnificent spider web operation. Then 337 helicopters. And those of you who follow the videos on my channel remember that we actually started to destroy these helicopters in doubles, like 2 helicopters at once, with marine drones for the first time in history. It is actually for the first time in history that marine drones target aerial objects. And what will be in 2-3 months, taking into account how creative and motivated our people are. So Russian numbers can grow faster. Also, 40,435 drones, 3,337 missiles. These were the ones that wanted to kill us. Just imagine when we destroy thousands of these missiles. Also because you help us with air defense, but now Donald Trump does not want to sell, not just support and ally, but even sell air defense systems to Ukraine, or they gave them to a different direction as promised. That is a sin that actually is very obvious siding with Putin, and Putin is a war criminal. And trust me, there is no way that in a year or two in history that will be treated as something normal. Never. And also 28 ships. And we may say that we've destroyed Russian Black Sea Fleet. It had to escape, starting from their warships, Moskva, go fuck yourself. Well, today is the Russian National Day, so I have to remind these glorious moments of the modern Russian history. And the headquarters destroyed, the admiral neutralized. He's 1 in a million, 1 of the million. That is the correct phrase. What is interesting, in less than a year and a half, Russia lost the majority of these people, 628,000. And with these tremendous losses, they gain nothing or very little. And a very important reminder to those who keep repeating Russian narratives. In 2022, Russia controlled more of the Ukrainian territories. So slowly we return back what belongs to us. In 2025, a very important phrase, in 2025, Ukraine controls more of the territories, and Ukraine controls more of the Russian territories. We did not control any in 2022. I kind of need to repeat that. Think about if in 2022 you knew that 1 million Russian soldiers would come to Ukraine. Would you think that they would be neutralized? Perhaps no. You'd think no Ukraine by March. And here we are. With our spiderweb operation, with Russian Black Sea Fleet destroyed, with Russian economy collapsing, with 1 million lost people because they decided to invade an independent country, with Ukraine learning more and being able to do more. And right now, I think NATO needs Ukraine more than Ukraine needs NATO, especially if Putin keeps testing NATO and NATO keeps practicing escalation management and Trump will betray more and more allies. So you need Ukraine and Ukraine needs you. Let's be friends. That's the most efficient and logical way. And I think it is like that because we have our amazing community and I'm looking forward for our live this Saturday, 9 p.m. Kyiv. Remember to join and ask your questions. Also follow me on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads. And we have an amazing Discord community with all the links in the description of this video. You also remember that I have a new channel, Anna Danilchuk, where I post weekly videos about what is life in times of the big war and also share my early Soviet memories or react to some typically BS coming from the so-called weak political leaders. And support our NEFO campaign and remain confident. Stay with Ukraine, listen to strong people and don't let fear rule your decisions because that's exactly what bullies want. And bullies, they fall really quickly. United we stand. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel. But most importantly, thank you for being friends of mine and friends of Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!